Welcome aboard Beyond the Engine Room, a podcast produced by Rob Peterson, an ex-Marine fitter who tells us about his travels around the globe, some of the characters he met, the ports he saw, and even a glimpse inside the engine room. Okay, so welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going on an adventure. We're going to do what we do best on this show. We're going to jump into somebody else's memories and kind of experience a trip through their eyes.
A journey through time.
Yeah. Through time and space, too, in a way. We're joining Rob. Rob was a maintenance technician from Cardiff, and we are going all the way back to 1992.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So put on your 90s playlist
Yep.
and get ready to experience Alaska.
I love it. Alaska, man. I mean, just saying the name, you get that sense of like vast wilderness, right?
Yeah, you think of huge open spaces and
Mountains.
mountains.
Untamed nature.
Untamed nature, exactly. And that's exactly the kind of thing that Rob experienced on this trip. So his journey starts out, pretty normal. Cardiff Station.
Okay.
He's with his work squad. They're all headed out on this grand adventure. And you know what they do? They have their pre-flight drinks.
Of course, they gotta have the pre-flight drinks.
It's a ritual, right?
It is a ritual. I mean, especially when you're going somewhere like Alaska, I think it just adds to the excitement.
Absolutely. It's like a shared starting line.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're in for a very long flight. We're talking about Newark.
Wow.
Layover in the sprawling Chicago airport.
Yeah.
Which, anyone who's been through Chicago airport knows it's huge.
Oh, yeah, it's massive.
And then finally touchdown in Anchorage.
Okay.
That's a lot of air miles.
That is a serious journey.
Just to get started. And I can only imagine seeing Canada and Alaska from that little airplane window.
Oh, yeah.
All that wilderness stretching out beneath you. That must have been incredible.
I bet. Just the scale of it all. I mean, we look at maps, but it's different when you see it like that, right?
It's totally different.
And knowing that you're just at the beginning of the adventure.
Exactly. That's just the flight to get there. And speaking of perspective shifts, so Rob steps off the plane in Anchorage, right?
Yeah.
And I love this. The first thing that greets him is a display of enormous taxidermied animals.
Whoa, hold on.
At the airport.
Really?
Like, I don't know, like a bear or something.
Oh my God.
Just saying, hey, welcome to Alaska.
You know what, though? Thinking about it, taxidermy is a really big part of Alaskan history.
Oh, for sure.
It makes sense. I mean, life up there, it was so tied to hunting and trapping. I mean, for generations, that's how people survived.
Yeah.
So taxidermy was a way to honor the animals, preserve memories of the hunt, even show off your skills a little bit.
It's like a skill.
Yeah, definitely a different vibe than your average, airport art.
Definitely different.
Yeah.
But, they've got to hit you with that Alaska vibe right away.
Right off the bat.
Right away.
Yeah.
But then comes like the real shock to the system.
What's that?
The temperature. I mean, Rob talks about stepping off the plane and just that blast of icy Alaskan air.
You're going from Cardiff to that.
I mean, I can't even imagine.
I mean, I talk about a different world.
So picture this. They hop into a van. They're headed for Whittier,
Okay.
which is the port where their cruise ship's waiting.
All right.
And the scenery along the way.
Yeah.
Rob describes it as absolutely
It's
breathtaking.
not that. I heard Whittier's amazing.
Yep.
It's nestled right in the mountains.
Yeah.
Only accessible by this one tunnel.
Wow.
Just picture that one tunnel, and then you come out, and you're right on the edge of Prince William Sound.
Wow.
Glaciers everywhere.
Wow.
Pristine wilderness.
That's wild.
It's pretty dramatic.
And then they reach their home for the next leg of the journey,
Okay.
the Pacific Princess.
The Pacific Princess.
And I just think it's so cool to think about that transition.
Yeah.
You leave the ruggedness of the land behind.
Yeah.
And then you step onto this grand vessel.
This floating city.
Yeah, and you're ready to explore the Alaskan coast. And they were definitely in for some incredible sights. So imagine this. They're sailing down the Alaskan coast.
Yeah.
These charming towns start appearing like jewels against the backdrop of these snow-capped mountains.
Oh, wow.
Skagway, Juneau, Ketchikan.
Each one with its own unique story.
Yeah.
You've got the legacy of the gold rush there. Yeah, it's a whole different world.
But the highlight of the trip, the moment that really sticks with you when you hear Rob talk about it,
Yeah.
is seeing those massive glaciers up close.
Oh, yeah.
He talks about the Pacific Princess sailing right alongside these towering walls of ice.
It's hard to even picture it
I think-
until you've seen a glacier in person. I mean, these things are ancient. They've been shaping the landscape for millennia.
Arriving in Vancouver,
Yeah.
fresh off, a cruise down the Alaskan coast.
Oh, wow.
So, can you imagine that changes scenery?
Oh, yeah.
You're going from the rugged Alaskan, wilderness, And then you're pulling into this bustling city.
With that iconic Canada Place cruise terminal.
Exactly. And it was there that all the passengers disembarked.
Right.
Which sort of signaled, the end of their vacation.
Right.
And the start of something completely different for Rob and the crew.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So while the passengers are heading home with their souvenirs and their memories,
right,
the ship and the crew are gearing up for, well, a different kind of adventure.
Exactly. And in this case, it involves a trip to Victoria for a pretty crucial procedure, dry docking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So picture this. You've got the Pacific Princess, this enormous cruise ship, slowly being maneuvered into the Esquimalt dry dock.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Rob said they had like mere meters to spare on either side.
Oh, I bet that was tense.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
It's like threading a needle with a skyscraper.
That's a great analogy.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, dry docking is a really intricate operation.
Now, while the ship's getting its, spa treatment, so to speak, the crew needs a place to stay, right?
Of course.
So they're put up in local motels.
Oh, that sounds all right.
Yeah. Sounds comfy enough.
Yeah.
But there was a bit of a snag. A hot water shortage.
Oh, no. Especially after a long day at the shipyard.
Especially after a long day at the shipyard. Can you imagine anything worse?
Imagine trying to work on complex machinery with greasy hands and no hot water.
Oh, yeah.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, for sure. Now, to make things even more interesting, Rob ended up sharing a room with a character they nicknamed Lord Lucan.
Lord Lucan,
Yeah.
like the British lord who disappeared.
That's the one. Apparently, the resemblance was uncanny.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. Picture this. This motel room, probably cramped, probably a bit musty, and there's no hot water.
Right.
And amidst it all, you've got Rob and his roommate, who looks exactly like a missing lord.
That's a great visual.
Yeah. And get this. The roommate prefers taking baths.
Oh,
no, right?
With no hot water.
It's like the whole scenario is just begging for a sitcom episode.
It really is.
While the ship is undergoing this, crucial dry docking process, Rob actually found some time to explore Victoria itself.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And what caught his eye? The Victorian architecture, of course.
Of course. Victoria's architecture is really something special. It's this unique blend of British colonial and Victorian styles.
Yeah.
And it's a testament to the city's history. He described the shipyard as being generally well organized. They even had a temporary mess tent set up for the crew. And according to Rob, the food was excellent. But then, out of nowhere, chaos erupts.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Shouts and screams coming from the ship. It turns out a fire had broken out.
Fire on board a ship is a nightmare scenario, even today. With all the advancements in fire suppression technology.
I mean, the enclosed spaces, the potential for rapid spread, the difficulty of evacuation, it's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I can only imagine the terror that gripped those on board.
Absolutely.
Rob said he could see smoke billowing from the ship. As the crew frantically tried to contain the flames, they immediately started closing dampers, which, as I understand it, are these large metal plates that can be used to seal off sections of the ship and prevent the fire from spreading.
Exactly, yeah. Dampers play a critical role in fire containment. They act as barriers, limiting the flow of oxygen to the fire and preventing it from, engulfing the entire vessel.
So it's really a race against time in those situations.
It is.
And thankfully, in this case, time was on their side. The Victoria Fire Department arrived promptly, and the ship was swiftly evacuated. Rob and his mates watched the whole scene unfold from the quay wall, hearts probably pounding in their chests.
It must have been nerve-wracking to witness, a potential catastrophe unfold right before their eyes.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of the aftermath, Rob mentioned that the fire actually made the local newspapers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It just goes to show how quickly news travels.
Yeah.
Especially in a close-knit community like Victoria.
Yeah.
And apparently he still has the newspaper cutting to this day.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a tangible reminder of that traumatic day in the shipyard. Well, one story that really stuck with me was about a time he and his team were finishing up a refit on a ship called the Pacific Princess.
Okay, the Pacific Princess.
Yeah, it was docked in Victoria at the time.
Yeah.
And once they were done with the refit, they had to sail her across to Vancouver.
That must have been something else, sailing a massive cruise ship like that.
I know, right? Can you imagine? And then, once they got to Vancouver, everyone's about to head off on their separate ways.
And a perfect time for a celebration, I'd say.
Absolutely. Well, Rob's supervisor must have thought the same thing because he told Rob to take the team out for a nice dinner in Vancouver.
Nice. A little reward for all their hard work.
Yeah, but there was a catch.
Oh, there's always a catch. What was it?
The supervisor told him, don't go mad with the company's money.
Don't go mad, huh?
Yeah, so I'm picturing these guys, they've been working hard on a ship for weeks, maybe months.
Yeah, they probably just want something quick and easy, right?
Exactly like a burger joint or some fast food.
Makes sense.
But guess what Rob did?
What did he do?
He took them to a decent sit-down restaurant.
Really?
Yeah, a proper restaurant.
Wow, that's a class act right there.
I know, right? It's like he understood that these guys deserved a little something special.
Yeah, it's those little gestures that can really boost morale.
Absolutely. So they're enjoying their fancy dinner, and I can only imagine the stories they were sharing.
Oh, I bet.
But that's not even the best part.
There's more.
Oh, yeah. So after dinner, Rob and 5 of his buddies were flying from Vancouver to Miami for their next assignment.
Okay, Vancouver to Miami. That's a long flight.
It is. And they were on this practically empty plane, all crammed together in the back rows.
A nearly empty plane, huh? Sounds like the perfect setting for some mischief.
Well, they're all ordering drinks, mostly beers. But one guy real sneaky, orders a coffee.
Coffee? Why coffee?
It was all part of the plan.
A plan? What kind of plan?
So the flight attendant goes to the galley at the front of the plane to make the coffee. Right?
Okay, I'm starting to see where this is going.
And the second she's out of sight, Rob and his buddies spring into action.
They did what?
They sneak into the back galley, and you'll never guess what they do.
Tell me.
They swipe the entire trolley of those miniature liquor bottles.
They stole the whole trolley.
The whole thing.
That's brilliant.
I know, right? They called it a perk of the game.
Perk of the game, huh? I like it.
It makes you wonder what other little perks they might have encountered along the way, right?
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for joining us on Beyond the Engine Room. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with others who might find it fascinating. See you next time on the Open Seas.